Imagine a world where every leader knew how to inspire. Think about what it would look like if people didn't just show up for work to get a paycheck, but they showed up because they believed in what they were doing, because they felt they were part of something bigger than themselves. That's the power of inspiration. And it all begins with understanding one simple idea: start with why. Most organizations and leaders operate from the outside in. They focus on what they do, what product they're selling, or what service they offer. If they're really sophisticated, they'll talk about how they do it. Maybe they'll highlight a unique process or an innovative approach. But very few start with why, their purpose, cause, or belief. And here's the thing: people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. It's the emotional connection that drives loyalty and long-term engagement. Let me explain this with a simple model I call the golden circle. Picture 3 concentric circles. At the outermost level, you have what. In the middle, you have how. And at the core, the center of it all, you have why. Most organizations communicate from the outside in. They start with what we make computers or we sell coffee. They talk about how they're different or better. But truly inspiring organizations, the ones that stand out, they do the exact opposite. They start with why. They begin with a clear sense of purpose, then move outward to explain how they bring that purpose to life. And finally, they reveal what they actually do. Take Apple, for example. Apple's why isn't about selling computers or phones. That's just what they do. Apple's why is to challenge the status quo, to think differently. That's what inspires people. And because they start with why, we don't just buy their products, we buy into their vision. We want to be a part of it. It's that connection to purpose that drives loyalty. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for Apple, but how do I find my why? How do I lead with purpose? The truth is, finding your why isn't easy. It takes introspection. It takes asking yourself difficult questions about what truly drives you, about what kind of impact you want to have in the world. But here's the thing: once you discover your why, everything else becomes clearer. Your decisions, your actions, your goals, they all start aligning with that core purpose. Purpose is powerful. It's what keeps us going when things get tough, when the challenges seem insurmountable. And it's not just about business, it's about life. Leaders who start with why inspire not just because they know what they want to achieve, but because they give people a reason to believe. And when people believe in something bigger than themselves, they will go to extraordinary lengths to help make that vision a reality. But there's another critical element to great leadership, and that's trust. Trust is the foundation upon which all great organizations and teams are built. Without it, there's no loyalty, no commitment. As leaders, we have to create environments of trust where people feel safe, where they know their leaders care about them as human beings, not just as cogs in the machine. In my book, Leaders Eat Last, I talk about the concept of the circle of safety. Great leaders create the circle, a space where people feel protected, where they feel they can take risks without fear of being thrown under the bus. When people feel safe, when they know their leaders have their backs, they're more likely to innovate, collaborate, and give their best. Trust isn't built through words, it's built through consistent actions over time. One of the most powerful examples of leadership and trust comes from the military. In the military, leaders eat last, literally. They make sure their soldiers are taken care of before they take care of themselves. This act of selflessness creates a deep sense of loyalty and trust. Soldiers follow their leaders not because they have to, but because they want to. And that's what we're aiming for in any organization: leaders who inspire because they put the well-being of their people first. And let's talk about vulnerability for a moment, because it's something we don't always associate with leadership. But vulnerability is one of the most powerful tools a leader has. When leaders admit they don't have all the answers, when they acknowledge their mistakes, they create a culture of openness and trust. They show their teams that it's okay to be human, to fail, and to grow. Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, is a great example of a leader who wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. During the 2008 financial crisis, Schultz had to make some really tough decisions. He had to close hundreds of stores and lay off thousands of employees. But he didn't hide behind corporate jargon. He faced his people directly, acknowledged the pain and difficulty of the situation, and explained why these decisions had to be made to save the company. That kind of transparency builds trust, even in the hardest of times. And let's be clear, building trust takes time. It's not something you can rush or force. It requires consistent effort, transparency, and a genuine commitment to the well-being of others. Great leaders understand this. They know that trust is earned through actions, not titles. It's the small, everyday gestures that show people they matter. And once you've earned trust, you can inspire people to do incredible things. But there's something else great leaders have: vision. Vision is about painting a compelling picture of the future. It's about giving people a sense of direction and purpose. A leader's vision is not just a plan or a set of goals. It's an emotional and aspirational view of what could be. It's what makes people want to get out of bed in the morning and work towards something meaningful. One of the most powerful examples of visionary leadership is Martin Luther King Jr. When King stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech, he didn't just talk about the practicalities of ending segregation. He painted a picture of a future where all people would be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's what inspired millions to join the civil rights movement. It wasn't just the strategy, it was the vision of a better future that moved people to action. As leaders, we have to ask ourselves, what is the future we want to create? What is the world we are working toward? And then we need to communicate that vision clearly and consistently. Because when people understand the why and the vision, they don't just work, they contribute. They give their best because they feel they are part of something that matters. In conclusion, great leaders inspire us because they know how to tap into something deeper than tasks or transactions. They start with why, they lead with purpose. They build trust through vulnerability and consistency. They paint a vision of the future that gives us hope. And when they do these things, they don't just manage people, they inspire them. They make us feel like we are part of something bigger than ourselves, something worth fighting for. And that is the essence of great leadership.